Are we giving the right message to young women?
I once dated a man who cheated on me with another man.
And I just want more women to be take more risks.
But if I had bigger boobs, I wouldn't cover them.
Welcome to the She Word, conversations that women rarely have but really should. And I am so excited. This is the first show of season 3. And before we get going, I want you to do one thing for me. Somewhere down here is a subscribe button. Make sure you click on that, because let me tell you, we not only have an amazing 13 weeks of shows here, but we also have now the Young Women's Edition. We have the Women in Business coming. We have the He Word coming, and so much more. And I'm pretty sure you don't want to miss any of it. There it is. It's down there somewhere. Just hit subscribe. So also, if you are one of our Patreon page subscribers and watching this before anybody else does, a very special thank you to you. I know you've been patient, and we have some very special stuff coming up for you as well. But of course, one thing that's really important, as a Patreon page subscriber, 50% of the profits from the Patreon page goes straight to the Richmond Foundation to support women who need therapy and need guidance and maybe can't afford it. So you are doing something amazing just by subscribing to the Patreon page. Now, to this show. This is the first show of the new season, and we're going to be talking about something that applies to absolutely everybody, and that is women and being a woman. And I feel like this is a show that we could have had over and over again, and probably should have started the whole She Word with this show, because it applies to everyone, but it also means so many different things to different women. So what I have here today is 3 very different women, and I am unbelievably excited. Tina, I know you don't want me to start with you. You're like, no, go
You
away.
were told not to start with me. But
You actually volunteered.
Danita
Okay.
is always the first one to
We're
start.
coming to you in just a second. So Danita, aka One Chick and a Yorkie, this is your second rodeo with us on the She Word. And of course, you are a very familiar face across the Maltese Islands with a huge social media following. And it's so good to have you back.
Thank you.
Let me just tell you that the show that you were on about being content creation, a creator and an influencer, and I know you hate the word influencer, but it was a fantastic show. It was also possibly one of the funniest. So I have to say, high expectations for this show.
Oh, no, pressure.
No pressure.
Lots of pressure.
Now to you, darling.
It's on me.
Because
for it.
It's your second rodeo as well.
Yes, it is.
And you were with us in season 2 with Women with a Voice. Mm-hmm. And that again was, wow. I don't know if you remember, that was such a massive show. So impactful. So many things said in that show that really blew me away. And if anybody doesn't know you, seriously, you're
my voice,
maybe a radio
voice.
DJ, and also you're a producer. You have your own production company. And I'm going to let you fill in the gaps in just a second.
Okay.
But Denise.
Hi.
Denise Kim Gafa, this is your first time with us. You are an ink-loving fitness queen. That's what I did there. CrossFit trainer, yoga instructor, social media influencer. And again, I'm going to use that term influencer. But you are an award-winning content creator. It is so cool to have you here on the show.
It's an honor. Thank you.
Oh, I'm excited already.
So am
I've
I.
done my bit to introduce Danita. Fill in the gaps. A little bit more about you.
me?
Yeah. Well, you can talk about everybody
do you
else
want
if you
me to
want.
say
But start
about
with
me?
yourself.
Amazing mother. You're an amazing mother. She is.
What do you want me to say about
That's
me?
exactly it.
Ask
You're a
me.
mom, but
Yes,
you're
I'm a
also
mom. I have a
content-
son of 3.5. I'm a content creator. I'm a wife.
But you also lead the way because your social media is all in Maltese. And you want to, I remember when we were talking about this before, you were one of the very first people to go onto social media and say, I am going to own this language, I'm going to own this, and I'm going to do this.
When I started my page, it was the time when Maltese wasn't cool. and people were always trying to talk in English and talking in English in broken English, and I was one of those trying to write perfect English, texting them and copying them to send them to my cousin who's a teacher, and her arranging my English to make it look good, so that obviously I don't write bad English, because then it's so one day I said, but why am I doing this to myself? I should talk in Maltese. It's me, it's who I am. I always want to be myself. I'm always telling people to be themselves, and I'm the one talking in English, not being me. So I changed it, and then
And you
blew
really
up.
set the trend. Exactly. It blew up and you set the trend. And I saw a lot of other social media content creators kind of following that trend and saying, I'm going to own
And I'm
Maltese."
honored, because obviously if they are who they are, talking in Maltese, they should do the same.
No, you're a queen.
Agreed.
And I'm so glad you're back on the show.
Thank
I'm
you,
really
Ava, I'm
thrilled
glad.
to have you here. Okay, your turn.
Fill in the gaps.
Fill in the gaps.
I'm married, recently married to Emma, happily married, 6 months now. What else can I say?
Tell me about the show, and you also are a producer. You have it
Yes.
was you that I contacted recently to ask if Chelsea was okay to come
Of
on to
course,
Love Island.
Love
because
Island.
You do an
That was-
awful lot more than just be a radio DJ, and I'm not entirely sure everybody knows that.
Yes, because it's more behind the scenes. So I always had this idea of creating a reality show. I always loved reality shows. I even have my thesis on reality shows, so it was always a dream. It literally, there was by chance, I got in touch with someone who actually was in touch with the Love Island producers outside Malta, and thankfully we got Love Island to Malta, and if I can say so myself, it did pretty well.
Well, you say, forgive me, but wasn't it the most popular
Was,
show?
it
We
was.
need Denise on the next show.
Yes, we tried.
They tried.
We tried. We tried.
Very last minute. And like I said, I can't leave
She would
my
be the
dogs.
bombshell.
Season 2 coming up.
With
Then
dogs,
sign
with
up.
dogs.
I would need some masculine men though.
Well, worry, leave it to us.
Listen, Denise, introduce yourself, because this is your first time with us, and I'm so excited that you're here because I follow you and I love your very, very colourful social media feed. A little bit about yourself.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I do so many things, and I change my personality so many times. I could be bipolar by now. I don't know. So I wasn't always into fitness. I used to sell fish when I was younger, and that's all I know how.
I'm sorry, did what?
I sell
Live fish or fish to eat? Oh,
fish. No, fish to eat.
okay, all right. I was
My parents had a
walking around with
business.
goldfish and stuff.
No, actually, and I know how to fillet a fish. I know. So, in my 29 years on this planet, I think I've spent 20 years of them filleting fish and cleaning fish and selling
Amazing.
fish.
That is a claim to fame.
She
I
was
think.
in-
That was really cool to watch
Yes.
when you used to post on Instagram.
You were on
because
that famous Netflix
Yes, I
thing.
was on Restaurants on Edge
It was
talking
quite
about
cool.
fish.
I
Amazing.
remember it. Okay.
What if you could start your journey over? Start here and start again there. That's how life works, in a circular way. We understand the importance of circles, and that's why you are at the heart of ours. Find your way to wellness with Browns.
So that's something many people don't know about, because obviously now I've been out of it for the last 4 years. I still visit my parents every now and then, because obviously I miss it. I miss like the environment of people shouting, "Hey, Yeti!" Like, you know what I mean? Because like in today's world and me being around today's people, everyone's more like, since it's so versatile now, it's more like there's more, like Danita was saying, everyone speaks English now, so and it's more polite and more like even
That's what
to
makes
my
you you then.
clients. But then I go
what
home and
made
there's my
you
dad
you.
swearing and my mom, and I'm like, wow, two different worlds. In fact, I used to live in Marsaxlokk and now I moved to Melliha, so it's literally two different worlds
Contrast.
now. But anyway, I love it. I love having the best of both, I could say.
But people would know you from online with the fitness, and of
Yes.
course you
I've
are
always been into fitness.
well inked and very distinctive
And
as well,
that.
which I have to say I absolutely love.
Thank you.
So listen, ladies, thank you for being with me for this first show of the second season. And You were bugging me, Tina, to say, what are we talking about? Well, listen, I'm going to run through some statistics first, because we're talking about being a woman and everything that is all about being a woman. And this could literally go anywhere. And I'm looking forward to that too. But there are just over 4 billion women on the planet, just under 50%, at 49.5%. And here in Malta,
more men in the
there's
world.
more men than women,
Is
right?
it good or bad?
Wow. I think it's bad.
And so we start. But also here in Malta, the life expectancy of the average woman is 84.2 years. That's 3 years longer than our male counterparts.
When?
That's good.
I
We
know
live
why.
longer. We outlive them.
Girls' brains generally mature 2 years earlier than boys. On average, women live, as I said, 2 to 5 years longer than men. Women see 20% more colour than men. Did you know that? That's extraordinary.
When they
Expected.
when they, I'm Anton, when
Men's
they
gone dark.
when Drew dresses up, he matches his skull as well.
He does, ma, not as good as you expect. So yes, that makes sense now.
Women are more rational than men. Did you know that? Because we have a thicker cerebral cortex in our brains. I mean, I could go on. There's a whole, it's fact. It's absolute fact. There's a whole bunch of statistics, and I'll run through it as we go through the show. But we as women have so many things that unite us. But of course, we're all individual. And I want to kick off by asking you how you describe yourself as a woman. And to put that in context, because
That's how we're
Denise
gonna
is looking at
start
me
with.
going, what are you asking me? But I, for instance, would probably describe myself as a stubborn, unconventional, lifelong tomboy who faces many of the challenges and issues that women face today, but probably don't talk about them as much as I'd like to. But without a shadow of a doubt, biker, tomboy, tattoos, all the rest, that's me too. So coming to you first, because I sent you the questions. Tina, how would you describe yourself as a woman, but as an individual?
I think I would say I'm a very determined person. So if I get something in my head, I just want to do it. I just put my mind to it and do anything I can to actually achieve what I dream of, what I always dreamed of. I would say I'm focused at work, but I'm really clumsy in my everyday life. It's hilarious. I just drop things everywhere. I'm breaking stuff, and so it's a big contrast from focused at work to being clumsy at home. And then maybe I'm very sensitive, and a big worrier. So I'm always worried on health things. I think it's always on my family, on my people I love. I'm always just hoping and messaging and texting if they're okay and thinking the worst, which I shouldn't be. But that's me. I used to hate that part of me, but I started to embrace it and try and control the catastrophic thoughts that would enter my head. But that's me. And I embrace all that I am.
And I love the fact you said that you were accident prone and you're clumsy, because we had this conversation. We bond over that. That's one thing that we have in common. How would you describe yourself?
Well, I now that I'm thinking about it, I can describe myself that before I had my child, I think I was a really different person than now. I think not totally different, but I think I've changed a lot from having my son. I was never an overthinker. Now I overthink stuff because of him. I was more loud. I think I was more... Yes, I was more loud. I used to do things without thinking twice, and now I think a bit more. I think I've changed quite a lot, even with work. Even with work. I used to say stuff on my Instagram more like without thinking about it. Now that I have my son and he's growing up a bit more, I think twice because of him. You know what I mean?
That's really interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, that's super. We're coming back to that one. For sure we are. Denise, how would you describe yourself?
I think I'm a paradox. I'm very intimidating to people, but at the same time, and I feel like I can be intimidating, and why they would find me intimidating because of my character. But then at the same time, I'm very sensitive. I'm an extrovert and an introvert. I like my time alone. And I don't know. I mean, like I said, I have multiple personalities, as in a way where I can adapt to any situation very, very easily. That's where that comes
It's really
from.
interesting that you said that. Do you think that the image that you portray for each of you, because you're all in media
Yes.
and you all have
The
media
first time I was gonna meet Denise was in a brand event that we had a photo shoot
was?
together.
Ewa.
It was ages ago.
Lol, I remember.
And I was so intimidated by her that obviously she's beautiful, she's cool. And when I met her, she was this loud, bubbly person. She's enjoyable to be with, and
Yes.
she's the total opposite of what you see.
But
Yes.
enjoyable with the right people.
But
Some people might find me too much, to be honest.
As if.
But
You're
that's what-
fun, you're fun.
You're fun. That's what makes you. I
yes,
think.
I guess so. Our social medias they do portray a different image, especially mine, because you see all the tattoos, the gym, I like to swear as well on my social media. So, but then meeting the family, meeting the parents, I'm like,
We're getting used to a lot of swearing on this show, and there seems to be nothing that no one can not say. So feel free. But Tina,
Yes.
you're on a breakfast show, and you're with two guys, and you are can I just tell you, when I met you, when you came on that first show, and I met you, I was really flabbergasted because, and our paths had crossed a number of times, but you are not necessarily who we assume you are.
I
on the
know, it
radio.
really bothers me. I do the case how comment, so people would think, especially because I speak in English, and sort of people would think, and people would say I'm overconfident. So probably on air, I come across as this real pompous, maybe, I don't know what it is. But I get that. I mean, people think I'm confident. I wouldn't say I'm not. But then I have those moments of me being extra shy, concerned. What if people say this? What if people think this about me? So there is a lot of that side of me as well. So if people think I don't go through any of that, you're totally wrong. 'Cause
Sometimes when you ask me twice about something that you're not confident about, I ask myself, but how can she be that person? Because she's so successful in whatever she does. And still
I hate compliments. That's
overthinks
another thing. I hate these-
everything.
I don't know how to
I need to tell Tina right now that she's gorgeous and lovely.
Oh, thank you.
We're going to come back to this because I want to talk about perception and us as women. But I'm going to just also ask you, whilst we're sort of laying the groundwork, this could be a while, but the one thing that you really love about being a woman, the one thing that you're like, you know what, that,
How
I love
difficult.
that. I personally,
But
for
being
me,
a woman or being you as a woman, because
I
that's
think,
totally different.
Let's maybe even compare it to our male counterparts. I personally, I love friendship. My friends are
That's
my
what I was
family,
gonna tell you.
and
in
it
fact.
brings me together. And I think when you connect with someone, particularly if you haven't met them before, if you connect with someone and you're surprised by them, I absolutely adore that, because we as women have this foundation to be able to connect and support each other. I think in a way that's more meaningful than our male counterparts. I could be wrong, and we'll find out.
For me, for example, is having to, since I'm a woman, my bond with my son is much bigger than my husband. So I love that. And
I
I
do love
love
that.
that he looks at me differently.
I mean, it's always
I don't want
by
him
nature.
to hear
It's always
this.
the child will always be
yes,
by
it is.
nature
It is.
be more drawn to the
And
woman.
not talking about kids, I think what I love about being a woman, maybe not every woman can do it, is that I tend to connect women together even when we go out. When we were younger, for example, when a woman comes, a new girl comes into the group, women talk,
Yes.
They talk about behind her back, and she looks like this. I was never that type of person. I used to welcome everybody with us. I used to make friends easier, like connect women together, not being that bitchy. I like that about myself.
I like that about you too, and I think there are always people in the group that have that capability. Do you know what I mean? There's always
Even when I
someone in
had
the group.
when I had my salon, obviously we worked, only girls worked at my salon, we never had that bitchiness between us. Can I say bitchiness?
You can say whatever you want.
Bitch.
Dang, you bitch.
And when they all the people who worked with me, at some point they wanted to start their own business, and they were all, you're scared of going to tell your boss that you're gonna open up your own salon. But I was always happy for them,
You
and
encouraged
I
them.
understood, and I encouraged them, because obviously
That's
everyone
amazing.
wants to do their own business and not
Exactly.
keep
Yes.
working with someone else if they know they have the
Yes.
capability of doing it. And I'm still friends with all of them. So I love that about my
I'm very
act,
much
the-
like that as well. Even clients at my gym, they're very scared to tell me that they're leaving to another gym, or they're doing.
I don't bother either.
I still speak to my ex. I talk to my ex's new girlfriend, who was my friend, and they got together only a week after we broke up.
Oh,
And I talked to her. I complimented her on
Wow.
her hair, on her new nose job.
nice.
I don't care. I honestly, genuinely, I hate drama. And
Exactly,
I always,
like
in the
me.
back of my mind, I always think, listen, if this person, she's human at the end of the day. Like, she didn't kill anyone. She didn't do any harm to anyone. She just wanted to be in love. She wanted to be in a relationship. And if my ex is the man for her, then be it. Take him.
But let's take a side. We're going to come back to the joy of being a woman
No
in a
problem.
second. And we're going to come back to bitchy. Oh my word, there's so much to talk about. But let's talk about that for a second, because you mentioned, I don't know about you, but I always think that when there's a breakup and the man finds a new woman, why is it that woman's fault? Why should she be stigmatized for being with my ex if they were not together
But
when
the
we were
person-
She's
together?
single, then there's nothing wrong, eh?
Right,
Exactly.
but we do that, right?
Because women, we're very, we're quite, since we're so like advanced sort of, I don't know how to explain, but we're also alphas, many of us. And so we want to be like, there's a bit of an element, like there's a bit of jealousy, obviously, because I want to be the best. I don't want to be with someone else. I want me to be like the special one forever.
You know what
and
I always say to my husband: if you're gonna cheat on me, cheat on me, cheat with a man, not with a woman.
Yes, I've heard that before.
You think so?
Yes, I think I would take
But then
it lighter.
but then it would be like he never loved you at all.
No, but
because
then
he
I
was
say it
more
wasn't
attracted
my
to
problem.
I would
men.
see it as
That's
well.
how
I
I
was-
was.
wasn't my problem.
Listen, it happened to me. It happened to me once, and now I have this.
Whoa, stop the
I have a
conversation.
phobia.
Sorry, what?
Really?
I once dated a man who cheated on me with another man.
And how did you feel?
Well, I'm not. I'm obviously I'm in favor, and I love gay people. I love them, but at the end of the day, he still cheated on me. So
Yes, it's
I was disgusted by the act, and then every boyfriend I had, I would be a bit. I had PTSD. I would be a bit scared that if he's getting too close to my friend, who's a guy, I'd, I'd look twice. Like, yo, step away from the man.
Space between those two. Thank you
I would be
very much.
fine if he's friends with my girlfriend, but I wouldn't be fine if he's friends with my.
Wow.
Yes, it happened. It happened for years. That happened for years. I was
Still.
terrified. PTSD. I was traumatized.
I feel like that could be a whole show. So
Yes, it's good.
let's come back to what we love about being a woman.
Yeah.
Denise, what do you love about being a woman?
Without sounding bad, whatever, I love that we're actually capable of much, 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 much more than what everyone used to think we're capable of. It's like,
That's what I wanted to hear, right?
Yes.
Yes.
That's it.
it's like, wow. So all these years, society thought that we're only capable of this much, when in reality now there's facts that we are smarter than men. I'm not going to say better than men. I don't want to be
Yes.
that type of feminist, but I mean,
But
in
I think we
general,
are.
like-
better because we have so many different characteristics, which I think every woman has. Like, we're more accepting, we understand more.
And that's why.
And even in a place of work, I think a woman can give much more because of that, because we can
We're more
understand
considerate.
Yes,
people.
but why
can
aren't
be-
we?
brains
Why
are
aren't
more-
there enough women? So that's the biggest
5%.
question.
5%
Exactly.
of the
So
CEOs
I
in
think
the
we
world
don't
are
believe
men.
in
that's
ourselves as
confidence.
much.
So confidence is a big problem. So
Don't believe.
Absolutely. And you just hit the nail on the head. 5% of CEOs in the world
that's
are
a
women.
that's a real big problem in
It's
my
a big
eyes.
problem.
5% only.
Absolutely.
90. Let's take the flip side. 95% of CEOs, every company in the world
terrible.
that are inventing, producing, that is around us is run by men.
And that's 5% now. Imagine what it was like a couple years ago.
But it is, there's a statistic I remember from season 1 that it's going to take 130 years at our current rate for women to be on an equal footing with men with regards to rights, pay, work environment.
That is why I believe in quotas. But then people will start attacking me because quotas are a huge problem. But I believe we really need a jump start, because without quotas, I don't believe in quotas, but we need them just for a jump start. So we need representation, visual representation of women as CEOs, women in politics, women in higher positions. Once younger children, females, start seeing women in those positions, they can start aspiring to be like that.
Exactly.
So then hopefully that is the only reason why I believe in quotas, because otherwise I don't
Can you
think...
explain what are quotas?
Quotas are you just
Lots.
get
The same in the
you
back of
get
my head.
elected just because you're like the job. We already passed through it. You get elected because you're a woman, not
Okay.
because you've reached a number of votes.
Okay,
We get a,
okay.
we'll have a privileged thing just because we're a woman. Sort of,
Okay.
you know, you need to employ
Like,
two
it's only
women.
fair because we've been treated very badly for a really, really, really long time.
Yes.
Can I ask you something? And then we're coming to you. But can I ask you something? Do you think that that is a cultural thing? And let me explain why. Because I grew up in the UK. And when I grew up, I've said this a dozen times on this show, the two most powerful people in the country were women, the Prime Minister and the Queen. And both of them were
Margaret
women.
Thatcher. Margaret, was it? Okay, and
I'm
the
that
Queen.
old. Thanks for pointing
I was
that
just
out.
wondering who. Sorry.
No, not the other ones. And for me, that meant that I never questioned that I could do whatever I wanted because the two most important people in the country were women, albeit, like you said, about the fact that we can do these things. And I think, I don't know, maybe it's a cultural thing as a
But
question.
don't you think as well that it depends on what your parents fulfill you with? Because I never questioned myself as a woman that I'm not capable of doing something because I'm a woman. My mom always encouraged me
my
to do
mom.
business, to do whatever I wish
My
to
mom
do.
does it
But
all.
not many are like you, Dan.
That's why I'm asking, is it the higher people that people women
Your
looks
upbringing.
up
Or
to,
it's your
it's your
parents.
parents?
I understand. I'm not sure.
Because
I
we
mean,
didn't
it
grow.
depends what you were exposed to as a child.
But society, I mean, a long time ago, the woman's place was at home, cook dinner for your husband,
that's-
wait for your husband. So that's...
Cleans,
My mom always
cooks,
worked,
works
so
full
maybe
time.
that's-
She's
It only recently
incredible.
changed when women started working. It only
But
changed.
my mother always worked, even when we were young. My friends, their parents stayed always at home. My mom always
Even
worked.
mine.
So for me, that's what
It's
that was normal.
Let's ask, you asked the question. We've got 4, I would say, fairly strong women around the table. I know that my mum, she didn't work, but she was definitely a powerhouse in the home. You didn't question to a massive extent, but you didn't question my mum. You didn't question anything. She wasn't a weak character. She was a very strong presence in the home, even though she didn't work. And obviously your mum was a strong woman.
My mom always worked. She had problems. She had operations, and she was always still. She was never weak. In my eyes, she was never weak. Even with all the problems she had heart problems. My mother is deaf, but she is never. You never see her and say, "Oh, miskina." Never.
So you had a really good
Yes,
role
yes.
model within your home. And I talked about external role models. Denise, your role models within your home, do you think that
My
was an
mom.
impact?
Oh yes, for sure. We are 3 girls and a boy as
Oh,
siblings.
good grief.
And then there's my mom and my dad. The girls are the strongest in the
The
family.
guys are the weakest.
And the guys are as in, I'm not saying anything about accountants, but they sit on their ass all day. And we do the hands-on work. My mom, she cooks, she cleans, she takes care of my dad's dogs. She takes care of my dad, who is a child. I love him. I love him. He's the most amazing man in the world in my eyes, but he's also a child. And she works full-time. She has her own business. She still takes care of us however she can. So definitely I would say I have a very strong role model at home. And you can tell because we are 3 sisters and my brother, my twin brother, and he's the total opposite of me.
You're a twin. You're a twin.
Twin.
Twin with a
Yeah,
boy.
I knew that you were a twin. 'cause you
And
just
that's
had
how
it.
I know also that by fact, women are, they mature quicker than men, because I've always been more mature than my brother. And even though we were born at the same age, we were brought up in the same household, but I always looked older than him as well. People used to think he's my son. Till today, like on our 29th birthday, someone actually asked us, "Is this your son?" And I'm like,
Then
"Wow."
Oh my word.
Someone actually asked that question, which I sometimes wonder. Like, he does look very young because he's also very like he likes to stay at home. He doesn't like doing his hair. He's like lazy. He's total opposite of me. Very good-hearted boy though. But yes, so that's also how I know that by factually.
But is it a good thing or a bad thing that we mature? Or are we using it to our advantage? Because we're saying girls are mature before boys and we're more advanced, but somehow we're still
I don't
still
like
slacking.
saying these things at my house because then it backfires because sometimes he pretends too much from me.
Exactly.
Because
Listen,
I'm a
sometimes-
woman, because I can take care of my son, because I can cook, I can do the clothes, I can do everything. But sometimes it gets to you.
Exactly.
You're not superwoman.
It comes back to it's still coming to you, but it comes back to, I keep quoting this over and over and over again. I think it was in season 1, we were talking about menopause, and I said something I'm experiencing myself, and one of the reasons that we did this show, because nobody talks about it, and suddenly bam, and I thought I'd outrun it, and I thought it'd never happen. Nobody talks about it, and Mariella Demek said, why do we get on with it? Because we're women, and we just do. And I think she's hit the nail on the head, and it kind of summarizes everything we're talking about here. You talked about your mum. You know, your mum's had these physical challenges. Why has she just gotten on with it? Because she just does. Because I think as women, we have so many challenges and so many things that, you know, I'm not knocking and I'm not disputing the fact that our male counterparts have their own. But in the case of a woman, quite often, you know, you got period pain or whatever, you just get...
We
you
have
get used
much
to it.
higher pain
Yes,
tolerance.
for sure.
We are.
Absolutely.
But then sometimes we use it as an excuse. Sometimes these things bother me. Sort of with these, it's true. There are females out there that decide, listen, it's because I'm on my period, so I can't do this. So we're using. Sometimes I see as well the and I want
Using
to
it as an excuse, you're saying,
and I
to
just want
justify why you don't want to do something.
or it says
versus-
why I'm in a bad mood. So this makes us sometimes we need to.
We were talking about
yes,
this
morning
this
we were
morning.
talking about it. But this is something
Accountability.
we need to be careful, because this is where, and then our male counterparts, as you're saying, start using she's on her period, she's crying, and it bothers me. So we need to not use it. It needs to start from us, not using it as an excuse, because as you said, we're very strong and we really do get on with it. So sometimes we really don't need to use it as an excuse. Just get on with it without saying anything. At least this is what I think.
No, but there's the two fences with that, isn't there? There's a, you know, period pain has been measured as the same as
Yes.
having a heart attack.
Yes.
Chronic period
God.
pain.
No, I do make fuss. I do, but I really try.
So what do you
keeping it-
do? I mean, that's the thing is, do we just get on with it and we suffer in silence, or do we actually say, hey, sorry, I'm having a heart
But I
attack?
think that depends on the character as well.
It is. It's not a
I
hard-
don't like
I was gonna
moaning
get to
about
it, in
my
fact.
pain. I just stay quiet, stay silent.
I tell people,
don't
listen,
talk to me.
today I'm not going to be the
leave
most
me-
friendliest
exactly.
person, so I'm going to take a step back, and that's
Exactly.
it. I'm not going
I'm
to
that-
bitch and moan about how much, like how
Pain
pain
and-
I feel, or I'm going to try as much as I can not to pick on you on anything. So, but that's why I take a step back, because I know, and I take accountability of who the person I've become when I'm in that pain, when I'm in that mood. So instead of like putting myself in the situation where I have to pick on the person next to me, and obviously they will pick on you, like they will obviously pick on you even more because you're on your period,
Exato.
and they'll get you like angrier and whatever and so on. And I just take a step back and I'll be like, listen, I'm mature enough to stay away from the fire because someone's going to get burnt.
And it's going to be you. We managed to get to you on question 1. We're doing really well here. The one thing
Still
that
on
you
question 1.
love about being a woman, the one thing that you...
Well, I think it's very much like Denise said. So realizing today that we are more capable than the woman of the past. So today a woman is seen more as this capable person, stronger. You know, we can do whatever we want. Honestly, anything. There's nothing stopping us. Before, the woman was made to stay at home. Today, it's a completely different. It's a completely
But you
different
know what,
perception.
Tina? I'm thinking that we are all self-employed.
Yes.
We don't work in an environment in which men are above us.
Some I do with radio. Sort of I have.
So you don't feel that you're less when
Well,
you're
I
in-
was going to say that I do feel the media world with the TV, if it's me carrying a camera, so you see more men, you know, on cameras, radio as well, there are more males. So I do work in a male-dominated industry, which is not easy because, again, it's even myself. I find myself asking questions or doubting if I could do it because I'm only seeing men around me do it. But I try my best to say, listen, if a man can do it, I can do it. Why not? So if before I doubted if I could hold a camera in my head, I said, I mean, before you wouldn't see women holding cameras, but I sort of fought it and said, I want to start filming myself. And I went for it. I said, listen, I'm going to start filming and doing anything.
I never had a problem with that. See, in my case, whenever I'm with people, men feel inferior to me. And most of the men I'm surrounded by are...
because they like you probably.
No, but
They fancy you.
they feel like they have to be bigger, they have to act bigger because deep down they know that they actually aren't. Because even, for example, with lifting stuff, I never had a man coming up to me and helping me with something. Never. Even in relationships, I was always the one who has to pick them up. I was always the one who had to take the lead. Always. And it's not because I put myself in that situation, because honestly, I love to be taken care of. I love to every now and then, you know, have someone come and cook for me and treat me like a princess. But they see me and they immediately put me under this category of...
Okay, so let me ask you about that, because you're a biker as well, aren't you? So you're a biker, you're inked up, you're very, very fit. Do you think that, I mean, I'm coming to this other question in a second, but do you think that isn't intimidating to men? Because as a biker myself, and also as somebody who grew up with positive female influences, if you're a strong woman, I actually think and I think you're probably more scary than you think you are. And I think it can be. So you must be your situation whereby you exude, whether you feel it or not, you exude and portray that confidence, which is incredibly intimidating.
It is.
She was scared of you.
And I feel it. And she's a very strong woman
Right,
as well.
exactly. She was scared of you.
So imagine a man. If she's intimidated by me, can you imagine a boy? Yes, and it's really funny, and that's why in the beginning I said it's a paradox, and I find and I don't understand because I'm so sensitive.
But although it is a good thing, sometimes I feel, for example, in my family and my friends, everyone sees me as the strong person, you know, that I can take anything. But then sometimes even you are a human being that you
Exactly.
feel things, and people cannot just say things to you without you being hurt. And sometimes you need to talk and you need to be listened to.
Yep. And they would expect
Yeah.
so much from you.
And they expect
And you're like,
exactly.
this is my load. This is as much as I can give. But then they keep adding on to it.
Something about the way you bounce makes me want to keep you around my mind. My mind. Something about the way you sound shakes me up and makes me get down on my.
But I love the fact that you've understood that. You appreciate that, and you're identified with that and said, okay, this is my load. Okay, you want to pile stuff on me, you can go and stick your crap somewhere else.
Exactly.
I do have to just ask you this question, because we're talking about here about positive female influences, and I think this is something that is so important. We've just had the young edition of the She Word, and I have such a heart for young women that they need to see positive female influences. And we all regard you, Tina, as a strong and successful woman. Positive female influences in your life, was there family influences or professional mentors or anything like that really pushed you?
With regards business-wise, you would say, because I think with business was my dad. It wasn't my mother. My mother was always as Danita and Denise were mentioning, always a strong woman, our main pillar of our family, I would say. My mother was. So it's all problems that there were. It was always my mother was always very supportive. So that's definitely one of the role model who I always looked up to. With regards to my career, I think I don't know where it came from. Sort of, I was always extremely ambitious, maybe, and just wanted whatever came into my mind. I just worked hard and wanted to do it, and slowly, successfully, hopefully, I don't know, managing my dreams. But
Who do you resemble the most?
resemble character, you mean? Both. It's so weird. So I always feel I have both of them inside me, both my mother and both my father, because it's always like a mix. There's my father, who is it's funny, he's the sensitive one, so that's a funny thing. So my father is a very sensitive person. He always really helped at home. So usually the males, I've had many friends whose fathers would never do anything at home. But my father was always at home.
That's very healthy as well.
He would do everything at home. So it was the only probably thing he wouldn't do was cook. So that was always my mother was always cooking, but it was always with everything. His day after dinner he'd be clearing up and washing the dishes. So with all this family orientated thing where every role was very much balanced between the two, which I always really admired.
I think I love your dad. He sounds awesome.
Yes.
We should have him on the show.
My daddy.
Well, look, we talked about what as women we love, and we've spun off, and we're going to come back to a whole bunch of those elements. But what would you say is, and I'm experiencing this now, I've got to tell you, as you get older as a woman, you start experiencing challenges that you never even thought about. But what would you say, Denise, you talked about the fact that men often make assumptions about you. Would you say that that's one of the things that you dislike the most about being a woman? If you could identify, or whether it's because we have a period every month, or whether it's because there's a pay gap, or whether it's because we still aren't regarded in equal terms around the world as our male counterparts. If you could identify one thing that frustrates you the most about being a woman.
I think one thing that I really don't like about being a woman is how a lot of women, unfortunately, because of the way that they are, things are never going to change. Because some women, how do you say it? It's because of them. Like they're not, like they don't act as strong as they should. Like they just want to be the victim. They want to be the damsel in distress. They want to need a man. They want to need someone else. They don't recognize the strength that they have because maybe they weren't brought up to that exposure. Maybe they weren't brought up with that knowledge of of what a woman is capable of, and they're like, they put themselves in a situation where they're weak.
Okay. I think we all want to have a chip in on that one because I know female friends of mine who aren't ambitious
Exactly.
and who do want to be at home. And my very best friend, who I'm sure she won't mind me saying, she is now, her kids are grown up and her husband is still supporting her. And granted, she's had an illness and that, but she told me herself, she loves nothing more than being at home with very
But
little to
then
do.
it's her choice, eh?
But you're
But sometimes it
suggesting
can
that-
be a bit unhealthy. Sometimes it's not really your choice. Sometimes it's how you were brought up and what you believe is right. Sometimes I've seen women who went from very powerful to letting themselves go and giving in for the man that they're in love with or whatever they're in a relationship with, and then they end up being their slave and forgetting about themselves completely. And I'm like, wake the fuck up. Like, what the hell? And then they're like, oh, because they complain about their husbands or their partners. And I'm like, it's your fault. You're allowing it to happen. You're acting that way. So men are going to treat you that way. Even girls who end up, let's say, dating the wrong kind of man. You're going for it. You're giving in.
That happened to some of my friends because they didn't ask their husbands to help at home, and now their husbands are just sitting on the sofa. They leave the plate on the table,
No.
and
probably
my
you would
friends
know
picking
because
everything
you have
up.
a son. And it's how their mothers brought them up as well.
But wait, my husband never helped his mom because my mother-in-law is a stay-at-home mom, so she never let them do anything. But she always told my husband, you have to help because Danita works a lot. And he helps at home, but I worked for it. Because I believe that if you let go, men are lazy at home.
Wow.
If I don't tell him to do things, he doesn't do them because there's me. So I ask. I always fight for it because you need to do things because we both work.
Okay, so are men inherently lazy, or is that conditioning of society
Or
that
it's-
I think
allows
it's
them?
it's conditioning of society.
But is it the society that allows them or it's us?
But
It's you and him, not
But the
society.
perception is that they work hard throughout the day.
Yes, but we're
That's
working as well.
No, I'm not saying it's the truth. But the
Damn it, I worked so hard.
That's the perception that they worked all day for their family, and now it's time home, and I don't do
Listen, I
anything
don't
else.
mind with a bit of like tradition, let's say tradition inverted commas. Like when I was in a relationship, I didn't, even though I worked longer hours than him and I owned the house, I used to go home and I used to clean and I used to cook and he used to come and I would expect him that then when the door is broken, you fix it. Like then we had that bit of dynamic. I can't fix the door, but
I know what
accept-
you mean, Star.
I accept me cleaning and you fixing the door, for example.
Doesn't it help when you know that you could if you needed to?
No, he knows.
You know, but you
and
know,
I know.
you
yes.
know that you
yeah.
could
Oh
if you
yes,
needed
for
to.
sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But what she's saying, I feel it too because I love having dinner all together at home in the evening, and I love to cook for my son and my husband.
nurturing.
And
When we are
nurturing, exactly.
natural,
So
like,
that's
nurturers.
that's like in me. But I love when we do the clothes in a teamwork way.
exactly.
If there's the load full, you just need to put it in the washing machine, and I like him doing it. And if you get up later than me from the bed, you do it, not leave it like that as
Exactly.
if I'm your slave.
So my dynamics
it's-
at home were very like that. If I cleaned, then as soon as we wake up, you need to make the bed. And
And
it's so
it's
funny
not
because I was the one who
respectful
had to
for
tell the
him
man.
to eat his food and leave it like that, and he goes
Exactly.
on the sofa.
So
I
I
would
would have
never
rules at my house.
accept it.
But based on this and talking about the kind of social structure and the social perceptions, that would indicate that your house is probably the cleanest in the world. And
I can imagine.
It's a very, very valid and interesting point. It's not man or woman, it's character. So we're two women married, and it's the same problem. I mean, I was just telling Danita this morning that I have my kitchen sink, water literally trickling down. And it's sort of, I noticed that there's a problem. So we obviously need to fix it. You're either going to call the plumber or something. So it's like, I said, this is going to be Emma's show. So I'm can you please call the plumber? And I called, she's going to kill me for this. She's going to kill me for this. She's going to kill me for sure. But it doesn't even occur to her that we have a problem in the kitchen sink. I'm like, we need to fix it. So there are things that, okay, she does, it goes unnoticed by her, and maybe there are things that it gets unnoticed by me. So it's not a male or
But
female
there aren't
thing.
any expectations from your end in that case, because
No.
it's not male or female.
No.
It's
That would
But I
be
think it should be this-
interesting when you have kids, Ting.
I know.
Because for me, we have a child, some things are just meant for the mother to do. For example, if I wake up in the morning, he doesn't even think about doing him lunch because I do it.
exactly.
Then again, maybe it's because I've done it that way. Maybe it's the same as the
Esatto,
clothes and the other stuff. But some things he doesn't even realize them. If I don't do them,
But see, Tina's situation puts the whole of this conversation
True.
into a
True.
brand new
True.
context, because we're all making this assumption that it's men and men are lazy, when in actual fact you're going to get in trouble with your wife because you're suggesting that that's not the case.
It isn't. No, honestly, the same things they are mentioning, maybe not the motherly role, because I think that's a whole different ballgame. I think who bears the child and who carries the child for 9 months. And then there's an automatic connection, and you're suddenly thinking automatically about preparing his food and all that. But then all other things, all the roles that exist between a married couple or any relationship.
same.
I think it's just depending on a character. I don't think it's male or female, or male or lazy or women. I think
we're
it's
getting it
both.
all
I wouldn't say men are
Could
lazy.
be.
Men aren't lazy. It's just at home.
at home, not lazy.
They
He
were-
works
I would say they're
a
just
lot,
brought
so
up differently,
He's not
and-
lazy for sure, but
And we can change it. We can
Uh-huh.
change it as long as
we
we
have to
actually change it.
exactly. We have to
Like
act
we
out.
put our foot down and not let the dirty plate on the
Exactly.
counter.
And of course,
or
if
whatever.
if your husband or your boyfriend or your partner, whatever, has been the provider, and you're still working to those understandings of that framework that men are the provider, we've changed. Women, this whole women working thing is post-war, so it's not even a century old. We are. Post-war, that women went out to work and are setting new frameworks, and of course, women took a while to evolve
But
out of that
unfortunately,
homemaking
there
role.
are still many women that they do everything. So they are working,
Yes.
they're taking care of the kids,
but
they
that's
are
just
doing
us
the house.
not getting used to now the new world of the working
Maybe not even
woman.
asking.
But there are many
Exactly.
men that don't accept
But you know what's
to help
funny
either.
is that we're still doing what we used to. We're still doing the housework, but adding on
Yeah.
an actual job.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
can you imagine how much we're capable of? Like
And
we're
when you have
capable
kids,
of so much more. Like this is coming back
it's
to what I said
triple.
before. We're capable of so much
Yes,
more,
we
and
are.
we get our periods on top of that every month.
I keep saying this, but wait until you get the menopause. You're gonna love that one.
I tell my husband this when it's a Sunday and we're all together. He tells me, how the hell do you manage to do a whole week with him, with my son? Because he gets cool. It gets
It's
to
tolerance,
him. His tolerance, his patience. It's not like me. And I tell him, I work, I take care of him whilst I'm working. But it doesn't bother me.
Still keeps coming back to that thing that Mariella said, that women just get on with it.
Yes, we do.
Tina, the thing that frustrates you most about being a woman?
I think I'm going to take it in a working in business world context, because I think this is where I really want women to start believing more in themselves, because I see it even from myself, and being less doubtful, because for some reason women, when it comes to taking risks or doing something which is a little bit outside of their comfort zone, they stay back, rather than I see male people do it a bit. They're fearless, whilst women are a little bit more scared. I don't know if you agree.
This
But
is,
you know what? Sorry.
I was just
The
going to
young-
say, before you butt in there, this is well documented because women naturally have a nurturing, caring role. Well, that's the way that we are. And I'm just butting in there because you're the mum. So you're probably going to say, yeah, that's
It's true. We have a nurturing.
That's why we end up nurturing our own partners.
It comes naturally, and exactly you end up nurturing your husband sometimes, and then I say, "That's my husband. I shouldn't do that."
Go to your mom.
I interrupted you as well. What were you saying?
I was going to tell her that if you think about the younger generations, do they look up to people like the president and the prime minister, since we are all on social media? Because when you look on social media, it's all women.
Most
you
of
skipped to the next question.
So if you think about it, do young people find women more powerful now than men? Because you don't see any men except for
But who
Luke.
is following?
Luke Magro. Shout
That
out.
are on
But
social.
who's following? Is it
the
more
young-
females, or there are males as well following?
For me, it's 80% women. So
That's
Yeah, it's
so that's the-
70%
I think you're
men.
the contrary, eh?
70% men, unfortunately.
But
Or
it-
yes.
Sorry, it's the new titties.
Damn, girlfriend, damn with those boobs you got. But okay, so let's pick up on that because you have skipped to the next question. Well done, thank you. If that is the case, if women are not necessarily looking up to leaders and politicians or business leaders, and we're looking up to social media influencers, of which you are all very present on social media, are we then giving the right message, knowing that social media is largely curated? I'm not saying that about you guys. I'm just saying that it is largely
No, it
curated.
is.
Are we giving the right message to young women if that's their idols, if that's what they want to be? Because we talked about a social media influencer who is trying to blow open this whole idea that so much of social media is curated, and the young women on the show, the Young Women's Edition, was saying it's unobtainable. So where do your dreams lie for young women? I mean, is it a good thing, or is it? I mean, in fairness, it also means that it's more relatable because you can actually message that person and they, as you were talking about before, and hopefully they'll reply. But it's turning the world upside
It's
down.
a responsibility for the influencer, I would say. So if I'm a woman and I know that I have a voice on social media and young women follow me, then I know that I have to represent women well. Like I have to give a good role as a woman.
And what does that mean?
I think in my case, so I am on social media. I portray myself as a very strong woman, but I also have, I'm safe to admit, like I have half naked photos on my social media, and I do like it when I have a ton of likes. And that's where sometimes I feel guilty for giving out the wrong message. But then at the same time, I throw on like a lot of videos of me working out. I have very strong messages about being yourself and the tattoos, the character. So I think in a way, but there's that, and maybe that's how I contribute towards.
This week I had a message from a follower. I was at home with my skirt after going to the beach, and I was with my bikini top, and I was talking. I was lying like this on the bench of the kitchen, and I was with my hands like this, so my boobs I don't have anything, so but I just covered my boobs with my hand, and whilst I'm talking, and this woman texted me and said, "You're really special because you really respect your kid and your husband."
What?
because I covered my boobs. And I told her I covered them just because I don't like to tough kif. It's not me.
I mean,
but if I had bigger boobs, I wouldn't cover them.
I mean, listen, this is
Sweetness, that's
And
not
this
that
is
great,
something
honestly.
that people cannot. When I hear people talking about other women who have the cleavage out on Instagram and they talk about them, but why?
this is something where I'm at the moment currently in my life working on, like trying to understand who do I want to be? Do I want to be this? Because obviously when I was younger, I used to post a lot more photos of me in bikinis, like even recently, obviously, or watering
don't
plants half
post
naked.
peep-
But I don't know if you saw that, but
She doesn't post herself in a bikini. Who will?
Listen, can I just tell you, Denise, I'm going to be searching the internet later on today to find those photos of you watering your plants naked.
I saw it. I watched it
and I
10
got a
times.
lot of reactions because of that. And I don't get angry at them because at the end of the day, I'm the one who's posting it. I know what I'm expecting. You know what I mean? But then, do I want to be that person? Do I want to be...
Why not?
Because am I giving the wrong idea to
But
women, to younger
it's
women?
because you're giving the wrong idea, or it's because when you find a guy who you want to be serious with, he's always
Well, that's one problem I
attacking.
have. That's one problem I have. But at the same time, I will never bow down to a man. But I am very proud of who I am. So if this man is saying, if let's say I'm dating someone and he's telling me, listen, you're posting too much and you're an attention seeker, he does get to me because I don't want to seek attention. I don't want to seek validation from my followers because I know my worth through my work, not through my body. So when I post a photo of me half naked and I get 2,000 likes on that photo and it makes me feel good, I actually feel bad. I actually feel guilty for feeling good about
My
being
God,
validated
Di.
over that. I
Di.
know, but it's something I think about since...
overthink a
Yes,
lot.
I
But
do.
that's a woman, no. We overthink.
But you're also talking about something, we've talked about it on this show so much, that you're talking about a dopamine hit.
Yes,
and
exactly.
you can't control that. That is when we get likes on, I mean, you guys must,
Yes.
obviously, you get a dopamine hit. It hits you. You can't stop that.
Exactly.
Because we are, as human beings, built to be loved and appreciated and so on and so forth. I love what you're saying, though, that when you post that and you get, whether they're men or women, you get a lot of attention, you're questioning whether or not that's the right message.
Exactly.
And it comes back to what you're saying is that role models now are not the Queen or the Prime Minister. It's a social media
But it
influencer.
depends. That's what in the beginning when she came in, I told her you should talk more on your Instagram because when younger ones see Denise on social media, maybe they see her in a way, and when she talks on the stories, you see the real Denise.
More
Exactly,
genuine.
and that's a big problem.
So that's you love her. You start liking the naked photos you have, naked photos of her because you see her in the stories.
You don't see... I
Human
know...
side.
You don't see just the picture.
You don't
you see.
objectify. Don't objectify the
Exactly.
person
Exakt.
or
Because-
sexualize them. You're like, Denise,
Exactly.
half naked, and
you're
and
knowing.
you
You're
laugh about
getting.
instead of...
You're getting
you
to
know.
know you. People are getting to know you through your stories, so they see you differently once they get to know
I
you.
will actually consider that, what you just said.
That's really interesting.
But likewise, I mean, not just necessarily social media. You have a presence every day. Thousands and thousands of people tune into you every single day to listen to you guys. And you have two male counterparts. You're the
Yes.
only woman in that scenario. Are you aware of the influence that you have on other women, whether it be conscious or whether it be subliminal? And does that change the way that you behave?
Not really, no. So no, I'm very conscious about the fact that obviously we are speaking to thousands of people. I obviously try and put it to good use, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's more of an entertainment show.
Yeah.
But what I think when we're speaking about females with either people in higher positions or if it's people on social media, women in social media, or women in the radio, I think these are all play a very important part to influencing, helping other women in society. But and then I think ultimately, besides all this, it really boils down to you and yourself. Because no matter how many people are encouraging, how many women are encouraging women out there, I mean, and let's keep on doing it because I think it's extremely important. But it all boils down to sort of myself trying to get out of that maybe comfort zone I've always been stuck in. And if I want to do something, I really want to encourage women out there who have any idea, business idea, to go and do it. And it might be a complete flop, a complete failure, but it's okay. I mean, many people have made mistakes out there. Many people have been through so many failures, and I just want more women to be take more risks. That's my
I've learned far more from my risks that have
Exactly,
failed.
we can really
The risks that
but we're
succeeded.
afraid of missing. I don't. It happens to me. I'm afraid of sort of failing, and what if this one, and what happen? What would people think of me? So I think females have a lot of that. But nowadays, I think females, mothers, we have a lot of opportunities. We have a lot of tools. I think there are no
Character-wise
excuses.
as well.
Character, but
Mostly, so.
but I think today we really can do anything we set our mind to do, because the opportunities are there thanks to COVID as well. I mean, mothers, you can work from home, which is not an issue at all. Before you'd have to go to work every day. Now we can work from home. There are many success
But
stories
there
of
are
women.
many places of work. I have friends who go through this a lot, that when they have higher ranks at work and when they get pregnant, it completely changes. I was talking to a friend last Wednesday, and that's what she was telling me. She was getting a higher rank at work, and she told them she was pregnant, and they didn't give it to her. So that didn't change, definitely.
That's a problem. But was it them who stopped her?
Them
Because,
who
wait,
stopped her, yes.
How can it's important?
Because
it's
she couldn't,
discriminatory.
but she couldn't do the work since she was gonna be pregnant and have a child. She was gonna have less work. She was gonna كيف tajdu? Work hours, she was gonna
Reduce
her
them.
hours.
Reduce them. That is a bit of a
That is a whole show
yes,
on
it
its
is,
own,
it
because
is.
I've been requested to talk about this so
Much,
many
yes.
times, and we will be talking about it, I promise you. And I think one of the key things is that you guys have given me so many other ideas for shows. I think, we've just had like a whole 10
brainstormed
seasons.
your future shows.
Exactly. Thank you.
Need
And I
credits
will be
for it.
asking you to come back for that. But I think we touched on social medias, and I'm very concerned that you've raised some really good points. You've blown me away by the fact you're saying that women are now looking up to influencers, which again, I come back to this whole idea of it curated, rather than female role models, probably more so than their mothers. We've mentioned strong family members, whether it be your father or your mother, whatever, that made us the way that we are. And I think this is something that we really need to talk about in more detail. But I want to move on. We've talked about the disadvantages. We've talked about what we love about being a woman. But women, as I mentioned before we came on the show, we were talking about the fact that women have gone through such a long journey, and there's been so much progress. Even the fact that women work and it's accepted, that's now only something that's happened in the last 70 years. So what do you think right now, today, that we as women should be celebrating? And I'm going to come to Denise first, because she's looking intently at me. And you're very determined that women should be more empowered. Is this something that we should be celebrating, or do we
Yes.
still have a long way to go? What do
No,
you
we
see
still-
as at 2003, this is what women should be celebrating?
I think we have made a big impact so far already. I mean, yes, there's a lot of work to do still, but the fact that we've realized, and the fact that there are women like us talking about it and raising awareness and influencing other women, and I've met younger women as well who obviously have who are like us, because obviously they have had better role models as well. So I would say we are at a point where we already should be celebrating our success. We're not 100% there yet, but we are. I would like to say that, and because I've seen some changes, we are getting there. So
Tina, you had a big inhale of breath as Denise was
No,
talking.
I totally agree. I think we've come a long way. I think we should be celebrating a lot of success stories out there of women compared to even 10 years ago, I would say. So not even 50 years ago. There's been quite a jump. Yes, we can be doing more. Yes, I'd love to see some statistics, especially of the CEOs, more women as CEOs around the world. But I think we should be celebrating that we've come a long way. But there's still a long way to go.
There is,
So
Do you have, I'm going to come to you in a second, but before we get there, do you have a particular person that when you look at powerful women who inspire you that comes to mind? For me, one of those women is Helga Alul. I don't know if you've met her or you've listened to, I mean, I had the fortunate advantage of podcasting with her, of listening to her story. We did it right here at this table. And what was meant to be a 1 hour podcast ended up being 2 hours and split into 2 sessions. This woman got in a Beetle. She talked her way into her job. She got in a Beetle in Germany in 1974. She drove to Malta to run one of the biggest businesses in Malta. And she was only in her 20s and an incredibly powerful woman. And I think one of the things that she really inspires me about is that she's also a mother. A homemaker, but she spends her time now mentoring other women. And as I get older, I suddenly, and you're talking about role models, I suddenly become aware of how important that is. Do you have someone in your life? Is it your mom? Is there somebody else in your life that
My
really...
mom, yes, is a big influence on me. But I really love watching Lorinda. I don't know if you know her. She's a Maltese mom. Her son is...
She's been on this show.
And I really look up to her because to do the job of a parent, she works, she has her own business, and she takes care of her son, and the way she speaks to him, the way she goes along with all the illnesses that he has, it's amazing.
If you're looking for her on Instagram, she's a bird with a French fry.
Exactly.
She came on the show, and on top of all of that, she came on to talk about the fact that whilst that was all happening, she also had breast cancer.
yes,
That's super cool. See, this is a woman on the internet that you on the internet, on socials that you are following and inspired by. Denise,
I would always say my mom. I know, as in, I'm not saying other women aren't, but for me, my mom will always be an inspiration because I've watched her work really hard. Until this very day, she's still working super, super hard.
so that work ethic is obviously something that you fantastically appreciate and really respect, and it's instilled in you.
Yes.
They work. Role models work, right?
Exactly.
But you know what's changing from women? I'm going to go into another discussion, okay?
I'm curious.
We're going to use this next
Another
time.
She-word spin off. Here we go.
Because women, our generation, mothers, although they worked and they worked really hard, they still had family time. We still had dinner together. We still had that nurture of our mother. We still went to school with my mother's lunch and having that comfort of your mother. That's really
lost.
And that's why I
lost.
always say
Why? Time? But what?
Time, and
Internet,
we're making more interest in work rather than our family, I think.
But you just said about
we're
dinner
being
time.
selfish more.
Okay.
I think that my son's generation is totally different than how we grew up. And I really try and do what my mother did for us. Like, I always do his lunch. I always cook for him. It's something that I really
guess
embrace.
life has become very
But
like sped
many
up.
people are
and-
getting takeouts and they don't cook.
But
Because there's no time to cook.
But we're getting a bit lazy from the things
Because we
that...
said I prefer spending my time working than cooking. So then I get a takeout.
I'm very guilty for that.
But
Is that a problem?
But when you have children, I think it's not a problem. But we're changing the culture.
But
I know.
Yeah. Just let me say this because you hit the nail on the head. Because I got it. Because I have menopause. I'll forget it. But you said that family time, making a priority. When I put out a poll last week, and it said, you know, I reshared a post on Instagram and I asked, dinner time, is it important to you? Is it achievable? Do you not care? Nobody said they don't care. Everybody said either it was a priority or it was something they wish they could achieve. So everybody knows it. Sorry, back to you.
But sorry, I don't
I
know
was
what.
just. I know what she means. I know what Danita's saying, and I do miss it. And when I am day in day out getting takeaway, I start feeling like I'm really losing touch with.
When she asked,
You know, the comfort.
what's the special thing about? How did she ask it? What the special thing about being a woman?
Yeah.
What
That's
yes.
the most.
in from my life, that's what I love most about me being a woman, because I always manage to balance it out with work, and I always try and cook and eat. It's okay to have dinner and get a takeout, but
incredible.
is it the
Yes,
same?
I agree.
We
No, it's not.
multitask
I
like
totally
crazy.
agree.
Because it's not the
Men
same. You're
cannot
eating something that
multitask.
everyone's
Cooked.
telling you, it's
That's
good.
good.
It's your mother's
Yes.
food. It's maybe you put a lot of salt. Maybe
True.
it's something that it's family time.
Listen, you know what I
Agreed.
haven't mentioned? We haven't mentioned, in my opinion, since I'm still dating in my life right now, so things are still very spicy in my sex life. So you are going to work, you are cooking, you're cleaning, you're doing all of that, and then at the end of the day, in my case, since I am a very powerful woman, I have to be good in bed. And there's all of that. And I'm like, no, I'm tired. You know what I
That's why
mean?
I told you before, maybe you'll get tired of everyone having for her to be so powerful.
Yes, the
It's
perception.
tiring. Go.
Yes, it is.
I just love the fact that Denise has just said that. Because sometimes you just want to say, sweetness, I'm sorry. I just cooked you a roast dinner. You have sex or roast dinner. You can't have them both.
And for us to say no, it's one thing.
Exactly.
And for them to say no,
And if
it's
I say no,
another.
they're like,
What?
Thank you for saying that. I mean, seriously, thank you for saying
I'm a
that.
bad wife if I say no.
oh, for sure. I don't teach
He jokes
my
about it, but
experience-
that's what he says.
But
It
hang on.
happens between two women as well, Ta. It's the same. It's the
I-
same.
So then again,
It's the same. It's the same. It's always like it's the same.
Depends, like who.
I'll stop there because I'm going to start saying
No more to say. Stina said it's the same. That's enough. But okay, so let me ask you about that. Who says? Because you've just said I'm a bad wife if I say no. You've just said you're expected to be a goddess in bed, and you're saying it doesn't count whether you're with a guy or a woman. Who tells you that? Because is it the guy telling you, I'm sorry, you're a bad wife if you turn me down? Is it the partner who's saying, actually, you're not enough for me because you're not a goddess in bed? And you have a wife, so you
You have it all, woman.
but who tells us that? Because I think, I'm so glad you said that, because I think every woman on the planet feels that pressure, and we never
Yes.
talk about it.
And we need to have lingerie when men have these torn up underwear. I'm spending hundreds
tell
on
me
this,
about it.
and you're wearing that.
You've never worn on underwear then. No one said.
Oh, I know, she's not going to say
No, because I have.
I don't. I throw it away. I
Listen,
hate
I'm a
them.
single woman. You never know what's
My
going to happen.
husband, when he has a torn underwear,
That's it.
he wants me to keep it for him. We're fighting about this boxer shorts who is torn, and
Fame. He wants to keep
he finds it comfortable, so
it's
he doesn't
comfortable.
want to throw it
don't
away.
throw it away.
And last time I told him, can you imagine if you faint at
And you
work
go
and
to
you need to go to
hospital,
hospital
and they
with
see you.
your right egg coming out of your...
You're like, there's a beast today.
And I love the fact Denise is at the end of the table saying, I'm still single. I have to, I have to make sure it's
I
all
have to keep
perfect.
up.
Oh, man. But serious question before we close. Who tells us that we have to be everything? Who told you?
Society, eh?
But don't you think that men feel the same?
Yes.
I have
It's on
no
both sides.
doubt.
I think so, Ta.
Yes.
But I'm
Because
gonna.
I felt, for example, he's gonna kill me if he watches this, but I'm gonna say it. I saw a big difference from my husband. He lost 35 kilos in a year and a half, and I saw a big difference of self-confidence in him. That if it was a woman, we would have seen
The
seen
same.
it the same.
Exactly.
I find it hard because, as in what you're saying with men, I don't know why I say I found it hard. I don't find it hard. Please cancel that. I wasn't meant to say that.
That one's staying in.
What do you mean? I'm lost. What do you find hard?
Nothing. So, oh wait,
I think the alcohol.
That's even better that Tina's saying, I don't know what you mean about it being hard.
what you're saying is men having certain expectations as well. So giving them the benefit of the doubt, since they have to be a certain way. Now, since women are becoming more powerful, men are becoming more insecure.
Exact.
Because men have to now work much harder. Because before it was just, okay, I'm going to carry a brick, I'm going to act tough, and that's fine. But now it's here. Now
Even in a house,
you have to
before the father was always the
man of the
man
house.
who got money, the man who we used to ask for stuff.
now we don't
Now,
need them.
We don't
need them anymore.
Yes.
And
which is great.
I'm not promoting my own show, but I would really go and listen to what John Malia says in the interview that I had with him recently about that, because he says exactly that. Men still have to provide, but they have to be empathic, and they're no longer warriors.
Exactly.
And that's why we need men to have these conversations. And I've been asked over and over
they
again,
the-
can men do the same?
Men talk less.
That's a problem. I think it's not because they don't want to talk, it's because they are taught to not talk so much, to keep
When
it all
you think
inside.
about it, they're worse than us.
No, I think
That's why suicide rates are
Suicide
higher
rate
Exactly.
with men.
is exponentially much higher in men than it is in women. And
We
that's
just made a whole show for nothing.
oops. Listen, I can't even remember what the question was. Celebrating. What are we celebrating in 2023?
That's what I told you. That's what I was gonna say. That I'm celebrating the fact that I find the balance between work
Yeah.
and family, and I try to keep the family, that the traditional family, to make it together.
Ladies, I have to say, we're going to pull this to a close. And I'm in my mind going crazy because suddenly I'm seeing a whole bunch of other shows that we need to have and a whole bunch of other conversations that we have to have. But I would like to come to each of you with a closing thought. Your nugget of wisdom that you would like to pass on to the young women, older women, any women who are listening to this show, that comes from your life experience. We've talked about the advantages, the disadvantages, what we're celebrating, social media, all these sorts of things. And I feel like we could talk for another 5 hours on this. But your nugget of wisdom, and because I'm sitting opposite you, Denise. And everyone's going, Denise first.
Denise.
I mean, I always say this to people, to women. Just get the fuck up and do something. You're a woman. Like, you can create a human being. Like, we make, we create freaking humans in ourselves. Like, we're that powerful. So take that and use it to our advantage and be a woman. Just be a woman. Do something about it. Like, get out. I mean, I always tell people this. I always tell women, anyone who comes up to me with their problems, I'd get so like frustrated because I hear them whining because this boy did this and this guy did that and my mom did this, and I'd be like, you know what? You don't need those people. Get up. You're a woman, and get fucking going.
Agreed.
No, I'm sitting here, wow. And I loved what you said there. We are powerful enough to create another human being.
It's amazing.
Isn't
That
it?
I love.
I've never heard anyone
I
say
love
that.
It. We are.
It's fucking incredible. Like, when I have never had a baby, but I've watched my friends get pregnant and give birth and everything. And I think about it and I see it and I watch it happening and I'm like, wow. Fucking wow.
Amazing. It
I love
is.
the fact that she's just let all the F-bombs
It
out.
is.
Sorry.
No, I love it.
I'm
It's
left
brilliant.
without words.
Even I.
You are a mum, so you are one of these amazing. You're the one person at the table that has had that, and you are powerful and amazing, and we, respect you for that.
My
But
wisdom
your
is a bit
wisdom-
different than hers.
Yeah.
Because I would love to send a message to women to work is great. It's great that women went out to work and we have our own success and we have our own businesses. But we have to keep in mind that our children are the next generation So we need to be there for our children.
And you know what? I think you could probably apply that to your roles
When
as
you
social
asked-
media influencers, as to the people you're influencing as well. You are responsible as you said, Denise, for influencing young lives, whether it's children or whether it's
I see it a lot. There's not much time with mothers aren't have enough time with their kids.
And fathers.
And fathers too, but we're talking about women now because it's
Yes,
the
I
same.
know,
If you
but-
have time, if you're working a lot, and then there's the dad that can have time with his kids, then that's good.
It's
But there
okay.
are kids and many kids that are staying at
Without
childcare
both
till
of their
6
parents.
in the evening, and we're seeing our kids at 6 at night. Just eat, bedtime, and that's it. I think
That's from a mother's perspective.
when she asked about us having role models, we all said mum. But would my child say that? Since
Listen, my mom was
Definitely done.
my mom was never actually physically there.
At home.
No, never. My
Exact,
mom was
I-
never at home. I had a nanny since I was 18.
Oh.
She would never come to concerts. She never come to watch me. She's forgotten me at school so many times.
That's funny.
And till today, she forgets. If we promised something, she would forget, or she would get on my nerves about something stupid. But I see why she's the way she is, because she works so hard. And back when I was younger, I used to be very angry at her because she would never come and watch me, and I would be on the stage, all my friends with their families, their parents, and my mom was never there, my father. And as a younger person, I was very angry at them. But as I grew up and I actually saw what they did, and I realized what my mother goes through every single day, I'm like, wow. She wakes up every day. I'm just saying, giving you an example how my mom is. She wakes up every single day at 2 a.m. for work. She sells fish. She jumps in and out of a truck constantly, selling fish, taking these massive fish and passing them on to people, dealing like she's a really good businesswoman. And then my dad, Reed, make me tea. And she'd stop whatever she's doing. She'd make my dad some tea. And then we'd come up with our stupid problems and she'd take care of our problems. She'd go on like that till 10 at night. She'd go to bed. She would probably forget that I'm alive, because Miskina, she would be dead by the time I need to talk to her about my day. And when I was younger, I used to feel bad about it. But now looking back,
Today's show is dedicated to Rita.
Rita.
No, I think that's fine. What a great
Yes.
woman. What a great
no, but
role model
I
to
was
have.
meant.
I think it's brilliant.
I said all of that. My point was that my mom was never there physically, probably a bit emotionally, not so much either. But as I grew older, I took accountability of my issues, of my childhood trauma, what I'm lacking from when I was a child. And I came at peace with it, because at the end of the day, what they lacked to give me when I was a child, they only did it for my own good, because they worked so hard.
Boom.
Wow.
You have to follow that.
I don't. I can. I.
Follow that, because you have the closing words today.
It can't. Nothing can beat what Denise just
No,
said.
as if. Talk about your dad. He's an amazing man.
No, but my mother's gonna watch this and think. No, my mom has been.
All our mums are watching
It's
this.
been a very balanced. Okay, so it's very important that both my parents had a very balanced role. So, and my mother has always been in fact, I do tell her, Ma, do you have any problems? Who do you speak to? Because if you want, I'm there for you. Because I'm tired sometimes we forget that sometimes my mother needs support too.
Yeah.
And I said, Ma, did you cry? Sort of sometimes she goes through problems. She just lost her sister, my aunt. I said, Ma, you cry. So I do that alone. It's fine.
Bottles them inside.
And she's always there for me, my brother, my father, for everyone, the whole family. So it's quite, like every other mother, I think our mothers are just our strongest support. Closing comment, I think it would be, we've all touched upon being a mom, feeling guilty because I'm not sure. Denise was saying, because I'm portraying myself as something, and then after I've received, I think it's self-doubt that I want to address as a woman. Somehow I feel women doubt themselves. If it's being a mother, am I being a good mom? I know I've seen a lot of my mother friends feeling worried about if they're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. And I think as women, we need to stop doubting and just know that whatever we're doing, if we're doing it because it's coming from our heart and because we believe we're not obviously hurting anyone, I think we just should keep on doing it and just keep on doing what you believe in. Is it good? Is it a strong comment?
Good, very good.
I think it's a brilliant, I have to say, a flipping awesome show. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being part of this very first show and being really, I'm going to say it, you're probably not going to like it, but being incredible inspirations for other women. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very
for having
much.
us.
Bomba, we're done.